Hey everyone, Shaun Stevenson here, author of the Throne series, and today it is time to check in on my Goosebumps reading challenge for September. And I did read a second Goosebumps book this week, so each week of September I'm reading one Goosebumps book at least. I may have read more, who knows. But I did read this one. This is my official book 2 for September's reading challenge for week 2. So I read none other than Goosebumps number 50, Calling All Creeps. Now, I was super excited to read this book. I have been intrigued by it because I did not remember the episode of the show, and I had never read this one before. So I did not know the ending. I didn't remember anything about it. And I had such a good time with this book, except for one little thing that we will get to. But I had such a good time with this book. Now, first off, I have to show you this copy of Calling All Creeps still has the bookmark and the little trading cards inside of it, which I was always super excited about. I was like, oh, this is amazing. It's actually in pretty good shape overall, this book. So still a little sticker on the back that this one used bookstore used these stickers that were so sticky. It was so hard to get off. But I got this book for $2.75, and I was happy about that. So Calling All Creeps, book number 50 in the Goosebumps series. At this point, we're 50 books into Goosebumps. R.L. Stine's done a lot of different kinds of things. And I feel like this one is actually so interesting and so original in some senses, but also very different in other ways. This one really has like a little bit of an invasion of the body snatchers kind of vibe, like a little bit of a sci-fi piece to it, but also a really creepy premise. So what's going on? Let's talk about it without spoilers. Because in this book, you have this kid that I felt so bad for. I was like, why is everyone being mean to this kid? This kid named Rick that everyone is just so mean to. They're so cruel to him. And I know that this is like a real lived experience for so many people. In fact, I gotta say, when I was in middle school, not my favorite time of life. I would never want to revisit it. I will just be honest. But it was, for this kid, things are really difficult. Everyone at school just makes fun of him, seemingly for no reason. Like, he's kind of a nice kid, and he tries to be nice to others, and he tries to be helpful. Like, sometimes he's a little bumbling, and he, trips, or he accidentally does things, and it's not his fault. The entire time, I just kept thinking, that's not his fault. It's not his fault. Leave Rick alone. And then something creepy happens, because Rick decides to play a prank on someone. And so he plays this prank by putting out this message that he thinks is going to say, call this one person who's been bothering him, and calling all creeps, call this person, and gives their phone number. Well, it gets changed to Rick's phone number. And now, in the middle of the night, Rick's getting phone calls from creeps saying, we're ready, we're waiting, what are our instructions? And I thought that was such a creepy premise. No pun intended. No pun intended. It legit was a really creepy premise, I thought. Like these phone calls, he has his own landline in his room, which I thought was a great, very 90s thing to do. Nowadays he'd have his own cell phone kind of thing, but he had his own landline. People are calling it and whispering to him, being like, we're ready. What are your instructions? What do you want us to do? And I just thought as soon as that stuff started happening, I was like, what is happening in this book? Now, I will tell you, if you're thinking about reading this one during fall season, this would be a great winter season Goosebumps book. It has a lot of snow in it. It takes place during the snow months of the school year. It's not like a December Christmassy kind of one. It's more like the January, February kind of style. And so it's kind of like that snowy season. And so this one would definitely be good for that kind of time period. But you could read it whenever, but just know it's kind of snowy. And I was like, oh, I wish it was a little more fall time, because it is fall time when I'm recording this. So I was kind of hoping for that, but it still was a ton of fun. Rick is a great character. I think he stands out because what's interesting about this one is Rick does not have siblings. And so it's just him and his parents. And so there's no annoying sibling kind of trope that R.L. Stine loves to do that's here at all. So you just have Rick. He's going through all these different things on his own. He still has people to talk to, and he has this one friend. I was like, good for that friend. I'm glad that friend is there. He has this one friend who kind of helps him through the different things and helps him figure it out, like what's going on. And when you find out the twists of what's going on here, like if you don't know anything about this book, it's so great. I loved it. When I discovered like what the creeps were and who the creeps were, I thought, oh, that's great. I think the plot in this one has a ton of suspense. You're sitting there wondering like what is going on, what is happening. You have later on when things start to kind of like roll the snowball down the hill and things are picking up momentum. Rick is like wondering how to stop this plot by the creeps that he is now somehow involved in. So you have just a great plot going on here. So much suspense, so much of a ticking like time bomb kind of suspense that it was excellent. To me, this is one of the top tier Goosebumps books. I have to decide if it's going to break into my top 10 or not because there's one thing that I didn't know if I loved, and it was the very end twist. It almost reminded me a little bit of Egg Monsters. Well, maybe not quite like Egg Monsters from Mars. Egg Monsters from Mars's ending is really just out there and wild. This one is kind of like a twist that you're sort of like, oh, I'm intrigued by that. I think this book really shows what happens to a person when they are consistently bullied and when people do things to them that are just cruel and just mean and what it will like do to them as a person. And I think that that's a really powerful message. But unfortunately, I think the ending untwists that. And I felt bad about that because I thought the whole time we're really getting this story about bullying because that's really what's the heart of this book. Sometimes R.L. Stine's books, I don't think he intentionally plans a message for them, but I think they unintentionally have messages. And I think this is one of them that unintentionally has this message about bullying and how bullying is a terrible thing. Because when someone is bullied, they are consistently being pushed down and pushed down and pushed down. And it kind of can become a thing where they give up hope. And I think that's a really important thing for people to know who do bullying. I think that people who are bullied know this feeling and they know what it feels like. And I think that it's so important. Now this is turning into a PSA. But anyways, I think it's so important for us to not bully others and to be kind to one another and to help each other. And I think that that's such an important thing as a human being to do. And I think to me, it goes back to that idea of like treat others how you want to be treated. And I think that's so important as a just principle of life. And I think in this book, R.L. Stine really dives into that in kind of the background of this super suspenseful, really creepy story about creeps. So this one, it was so much fun. I think you have some great side characters as well. You have one character that I feel like is a little bland and kind of gets dropped at the end of the book. Like this character is along for the ride, kind of helps out here and there, and then all of a sudden they're just gone. And I thought, wow, why did that character just vanish from the book almost completely? I thought we would be with that character a little more and there would be something going on with that character, but there wasn't anything with them. So that was kind of an interesting thing, but overall, great characterization, great plot. The setting, like I said, I wish I had read this in winter time. I feel like it would have made it even better. Like just adding that little bit of that spooky factor to it versus in fall time right now. So this one overall is definitely top tier Goosebumps in my opinion. So at the end of the day, I'm going to give Calling All Creeps a solid 4.5 out of 5 stars. I think minus that half for the very end and that one character that kind of got a little bland, but otherwise, such a good entry in the Goosebumps series. Definitely should be a must read for Goosebumps fans who like a little bit of spooky stuff that's like kind of that's more suspenseful. Like this one just felt more suspenseful than other Goosebumps books. It wasn't as silly. And I thought that that was really great. There also, I did not mention this, but there's some kind of disgusting moments at one point, like a little bit of body horror. And I thought, oh, that's kind of gross and kind of going there for a Goosebumps book in a way that I was not expecting. but it still was a great read. Definitely, like I said, top tier Goosebumps book in my opinion. So until next time, everybody, keep reading. Bye.